Don't call her cute, don't call her feisty. She's a rebel, she is nasty, she is brave. She isn't honey, sweetie, sugar pie, or baby. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved. Don't you ever say that she was well behaved. And don't you ever say that she was well behaved.
It's really nice to go to bed early.
I know.
After I finished that Wyatt packet, I went to work on Monday after sleeping very little that weekend and just like expending so much brain energy. And then I came home from work. I took care of Bamford. I ate dinner and I went to sleep by 8:30.
8:30. See, I can't even do that.
I don't ever really do that.
That's
I was
amazing.
just so tired. And I slept straight through the night. I took a melatonin too to make sure that I didn't wake up.
Yeah.
I woke up once at 5 to pee, and then I went right back to sleep.
That's awesome.
It was incredible.
Oh my God,
it felt
I'm
really
so
good.
jealous. I want to do that.
Do that tonight.
Yeah. Well, my show is at 9, so I don't think I can do that.
Is it close to here?
No, it's not. I mean, I can take the G train. It's not too far. It's in South Brooklyn though.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do last night?
I went to a birthday party.
Oh, whose birthday party?
It was Blair Saki's
Oh,
birthday.
fun. Was it at a bar?
Yeah, I was at Union Pool, which is like a 10-minute walk from here. And I was getting ready, and I was like dilly-dallying, and Julie came over, and we like got ready, and then we got there at like midnight, and we got there, and there was a line to get in because it was a Friday night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a night when other people go out.
Like there's like dancing in there, so like people were lining up to get in the club, which was so
That's so stupid
and bad. Luckily, Joe Firestone and her friend were like third in line, and they were like, "You can just come with us." So that was,
great.
I dedicate this hangover to her because
Was it
got
fun?
me in earlier.
Was it fun once you got inside?
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun. At first, it was like really crowded, but it wasn't too bad. And then there was like this like secret little like club area, and they were playing like hip hop music, and me and Julia and a bunch of other people were just dancing, and it was fun. I had a good time, and then we just stayed till the bar closed, and that was probably unnecessary. We didn't need to do that. So I didn't go to bed until like 4:30, and then I just woke up at 11:30. I couldn't really like sleep in like I wanted to and intended to. Oh, the music is loud outside.
That's okay. A nice little background.
How was your night? You did shows. Are you there tonight again?
No, I'm off tonight. Yeah, I did. I had like a nice comedy night. Like it was like very busy. I felt very professional.
Oh, cool.
Like I got paid. Nice. I bounced around from like place to place.
Where'd you go?
I did the early show at Eastville and the late show at Eastville, but in between I did a spot at New York Comedy Club.
Wow.
So it was very like,
oh my God. 3 spots at 2 clubs?
Yeah, people paid tickets.
Oh my God. This feels like we're on the Jackie and Laurie show and you're Laurie Kilmartin.
Ugh, I wish I was Laurie Kilmartin.
I know, but it's that's what she said.
But it was, the third show
Bippin' and boppin'.
was not great for me. But
well, look, hey,
but 2 out of 3.
Bad,
2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 goods. 1 out of 3 bads. That's not too bad.
It's not bad. No. That's actually like about right. I found like it's interesting to see. I think there was a point of doing comedy when I could kind of just like figure out how to make anybody like me, like any kind of audience. And I think I've gotten to a point where I don't care as much if every audience likes me. I'd rather do the material that I like.
Yeah.
And just take the bomb. And just be like, well, I was not for you.
Right.
But in the first show, there was a guy in the middle wearing a Make America Read Again shirt. And I was like, this is going to go well.
A shirt, too. Not even the hat. Like, not a correct parody of the...
Right. But I was like, okay. If this is what this... Me. Yeah. If you have ever listened to NPR and enjoyed it, you're going to like my stand-up.
Comedy for people who like NPR.
Just comedy for people who will go afterwards like... That was good writing.
Wait, don't tell me he's hiring a writer.
Really?
Yeah, but you have to move to Chicago. Would you move to Chicago for a job? I think I would.
For that job, yeah.
I'm not. What you don't tell me is not like my thing. I've listened to it. I've enjoyed it. But I don't feel like a dedicated fan enough to apply because the stipulations are like 3 years in a writer's room and stuff like that. But like, whenever I see stuff like that on a job, I'm like, men never pay attention to that. You should just apply.
Yeah, just
but
apply.
It made me think like, I was like, oh, well, in addition to the fact that I do enjoy the show, like the times when I catch it, but I'm not like an avid fan. I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
You should apply.
I will.
Yeah. I think you just send like a writing sample. Well, there's like you like apply online through their website, but I think you send writing samples and then like, I think there's a little like packet within the application, you know? You
Okay,
have to,
great.
like, submit jokes or something.
At the very least, it's like
Good practice.
a practice, and it keeps me busy to work on
something to
something.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
It staves off my
I
depression.
was thinking about that one. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast I start to like spiral.
I know. Me too.
For lack of a better word.
I know, for sure.
I deleted Twitter off my phone,
Oh.
and I mean, just like yesterday, as like for the women's boycott, and I was like, I mean, I don't know if I'll like not go on Twitter today, but I'll just take it off my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just didn't, and today I haven't put it back, and I was like, maybe I'll just not have this on for a while.
But you're good at Twitter.
I know, but it's like, how much do I enjoy it though?
That's
Like,
good
I
to
do
know.
enjoy joke writing a lot, and obviously I enjoy the instant validation,
Mm-hmm.
but is it worth it for the amount of like spirals that my brain goes through when
Maybe
I like
not.
scroll and find like I'll get into a real time suck on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I'll
find
probably
that
go
with,
back.
like,
but-
Instagram.
Instagram doesn't do Jesus.
That didn't seem necessary.
How is that your horn?
Yeah, that's horrible.
That doesn't sound like a real, like no manufacturer made that.
You
You
have to get that installed.
Jeez Louise, that was such a high pitch. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like maybe my Instagram feed is just like not interesting enough.
Well, I like Instagram stories.
Oh, I never fuck with those.
I love them. That's my shit.
What do you love about them?
Well, it's fun. You can do boomerangs. It's just great. It's just really good. Yeah, I like it. Little life moments from people. If it's like the best way to feel like I'm, interacting with people who I don't actually talk to, which I like. What are you doing tonight if you don't have spots? Just chilling?
I think I'm just gonna chill. I was a little under the weather last week because a comedian came to a show that I was hosting sick, and he did not say any. This makes me mad. I'm not gonna call, but like I saw him. I hugged him. He's somebody who I enjoy.
After you tell me off mic who this is.
Yeah, he like gave me a little handshake, and then he went on stage and talked about how he was sick and like had a fever, and I was like,
wait, write
why?
down the name.
Okay.
This is also very Jackie and Laurie show. Oh yeah.
Which is like, it just made it.
Yeah.
So he like goes on stage and talks about how he has a fever, and I was like, how?
Fever?
Yeah.
It's not even like, oh, I got a little tickle in my throat.
Also, like,
Fever.
cancel that show.
Yeah, you
like
cancel
it's
the show.
not a paying
or
show.
You are you're very cautious, and you just
Yeah.
don't touch anybody. And then when you touch the mic, you bring hand sanitizer.
Well, last night, like at every show that I went to, I was like, I explicitly told every person, like, because they'd reach out their hand, and I was like, I'm a little under the weather. I'm mostly past it, but just in case, I'm not going to shake your hand.
Did you get a fever?
I think I did the first day. I had like a very. I didn't
always
take my.
sick.
I know.
Last week? Wait,
Yeah.
I saw you at the meeting though. Were you sick?
No, I wasn't sick then. It happened. It went really quick. I've. It's interesting. I get sick a lot, but they get knocked out real quick usually.
That's good. That's
So,
zinc life.
yeah, the zinc helped in like drinking water and sleeping. So yeah, I started feeling sick Wednesday, and I hosted the show on
Saturday.
and I had hosted the show on Sunday. So like that's how I know. Like I know it was him.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, cancel that show.
Yeah.
If it's paying, like I get it. You don't want to like give up that money. If it's not paying and it's just like a show,
I don't know about it.
stay
I
home.
think I would disagree about canceling the spot, but I think I would agree that you should be very cautious and you should, put hand sanitizer on before and after you touch the mic.
Why would you not cancel?
Because you gotta get that stage time.
No,
baby.
you don't. You don't. Like,
I don't know.
understand, but
I mean,
just
that's a
take
person who
care of
gets
yourself.
who gets enough stage time, probably. For me, I would be like, I mean, I probably would cancel because I'm a huge pussy and like I don't want to. I'm not gonna. If I have a fever, like I'm gonna just stay home for sure. But if I felt like good enough to go, I feel like I should always go.
Okay.
Just bring some hand sanitizer. Definitely don't hug anyone.
Don't hug anybody.
I think that's the number one thing. Because even when you touch the mic, like if you wash your hands, touch the mic, you should be fine. You know?
So,
lick it.
so my point was tonight. I think I'm just gonna stay
chill.
in
And
and
just stay in.
recover a little extra.
Cool.
I slept on the futon the last 3 days because when I'm sick, I always like to sleep on the couch. Like I like to sleep alone because I don't want to be conscious of anybody else.
Back?
Yeah, Shaq is back.
That's an interesting technique. When I'm sick, I'll just take up the whole bed and be like, fuck you.
Well, I do that when I'm well.
It's my time.
No,
I know. I
just
slept
easy.
with Julie last night. I think I did kick her at one point. She slept over.
I'm a real kicker. I'm a real cover stealer.
Wow, that's not good.
So we have we sleep under separate blankets.
Yeah, that's good. I
Sometimes
think
I still
I'm pretty
steal his.
good about. Louis and I are pretty good about sharing the bed. The bed at his parents' house is pretty bad. It's also a double or whatever, as opposed to a queen,
That's too little.
which is too little. I mean, it's just too little, and it's like on wheels. It's like squeaky. It's very bad. So and like we go there all the time. Like we need to like just invest in a better bed there. So that's on the agenda. But I'll be there next week. Oh yeah, we should talk about. Actually, we have to record another one this week before I leave.
Okay, we can do that.
Heads up.
Also one last thing. Today Bamford, my dog, saw her first little person and got so excited.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was really sweet. And he seemed like very amused by it.
Okay.
She was just she saw him and I realized like, oh, you've probably never seen that before. And she was
actually
just
surprising that she's never seen that before.
a little person. I mean, how often do they come into your life?
I guess not that often, but like, I mean, a few times a year. And you walk with her every day. I guess.
Yeah, but
she
in my
sees the same
neighborhood.
people every day, yeah.
She was just so excited and was like, well, he has to pet me. But
Does she like kids?
Yeah, she really likes kids. I don't know that she thought he was a kid though, because it was still like, it was a very different reaction. And then as we were walking away, she just like turned her head and couldn't stop looking at him, where I was like, hey, we don't stare.
Oh God.
But it was just she was so delighted. And so was he. He was just like, that's like, because she's cute.
Was he like older?
No, he was like probably our age.
Yeah, I mean that's not the worst reaction. I've been around
She
dogs.
didn't growl.
Yeah, I've been around dogs that are racist to black people.
Yeah, me too.
That's very uncomfortable.
It's very.
I mean, if they just got extra excited, no one would care,
right.
you know. But you don't. Yeah, you're not gonna growl, bark.
Yeah, one of the dogs
you
that I walked used to be pretty racist.
Oh, they got her out of it, or him?
Yeah, she started going to daycare where a lot of people who work there are black, and she calmed the fuck down.
That's good. Someone told me it's because, I think maybe we've talked about this. Someone told me it was because of like their eyes don't see color
No,
properly.
it's because their owners are racist and they pick up on it.
Yeah.
It has nothing
I
to
know.
do.
We talked about this because then I was like, no, I don't think that's not true. The woman who owned the racist dog I knew is not. I don't think that's true.
Maybe not consciously.
We should Google this. I bet there's a Mythbuster about this.
Maybe. But like my dog loves other dogs except for German Shepherds. She hates German Shepherds. She barks at them all the time.
Wait, we talked about this because she's Jewish.
Well, I think it's because I have like a very subconscious reaction to German Shepherds, and she picks up on that. And now it's just like a cycle because whenever I see one now, I'm afraid she's going to start barking.
So you're racist against German Shepherds?
Yeah, I think instinctually, not instinctually. It's definitely nurture.
Really? Why German Shepherds more than any other dog?
Because there are so many photos from the Holocaust and like videos that I watched when I was younger where German Shepherds are it really does. Like I've tried to write a joke about this. There's nothing fun, like I can't yet, but like I don't remember learning about the Holocaust I've just always known that it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so like those images are like very deep into my subconscious.
Yeah.
So like now when I see a German Shepherd, I'm like, ugh, like on some level,
Right.
and I don't even realize that I'm doing it.
Did you have family that survived the Holocaust?
None that I've met. All of my grandparents were already here. So I never got firsthand stories from anybody in my family. There are like some family photos, like old photos back from the shuttle. And I remember when I was younger, sort of asked, like when you're curious about like who your family is. And I was asking my mom who everybody was. And she's like going through, she's like, you know, like that's your great grandmother. And then she'll just like kind of point along and be like, and they died in the Holocaust. They did it, like just going through of like, this is the only one who survived. But nobody, like there were Holocaust survivors at my synagogue growing up. So I like grew up hearing firsthand stories, as I think like most Jews do or did.
Yeah.
But nobody in my family.
Wow.
How about you? Any potato famine survivors?
No Holocaust, no potato famine, really. I mean, I guess technically, my dad's parents moved here in like the 20s, 30s. So I guess they were there for the famine and stuff. I don't know.
Were they here for the Irish need not apply stuff?
Probably. I don't know. Probably. I do know that they were part of white flight and left Trenton to go to the suburbs outside of Trenton because black people were moving in. Pretty cool.
Great.
Yeah, but they were just like had little Irish. They just lived with all other Irish people in New Jersey. They just found all the Irish people and then in New Jersey, and they just started a little neighborhood. So it was like basically like they were in Ireland. Yeah. But they were here. And then my mom's family has been in the U.S. for like 3 generations or something. My great grandparents on both sides of my mom's parents moved here. So it was like a long time ago. Pre-Holocaust.
Pre-Holly.
Yeah.
Just a cute little nickname for the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should start.
Am I first this time?
You are first.
Okay. So I decided to do. I like wanted
You
to.
who?
What?
You who? We should do an intro.
You who?
Like.
Oh,
me,
I'm Molly
sorry.
Ruben-Long. I was like, you who? Oh, that sounds delicious. I'm Molly Ruben-Long.
I'm Ariel Elias.
And this is Well Behaved, a podcast about women in history who maybe you haven't heard of.
That was great.
I this week decided to tell you guys about someone who is Puerto Rican because, hey, that land of American citizens is destroyed and very sad. So please donate and just think about it more. So I was like, well, why don't I do a Puerto Rican woman? So I looked one up, and I found this woman, Roqué de Duprey. Anna, actually, her name's Anna. I'm an asshole. Her name's Anna Roqué. All right, I'm very hungover.
You're doing great.
Oh, that truck is loud outside. Okay, so she was born April 8th, 1853 in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. And basically, this woman was just a genius. She taught herself to read and write and do basic arithmetic by the age of 3.
Jeez.
Her mother died at 4,
Cool.
and so she was raised by her father, her aunt, and her grandmother, who were all educators. In 1860, so she was 7 years old, they sent her to a regular school, and she graduated within 2 years. So at 9, she had finished her regular schooling. And then at the age of 11, she became the youngest teaching assistant in Puerto Rico. She's a
prodigy.
Yeah, she's like a true genius. It's really crazy.
What subject was she at a university? She was a teaching assistant?
No, I think at a lower school or something.
Ah, okay.
She eventually becomes a higher educator, but so then at 13, she founded a school in her house. She just got people to come to her house, and she started a school, and she realized that there wasn't a good geography textbook. So at the age of 13, she just wrote a geography textbook, which later became the one that was adopted by the Department of Ed in Puerto Rico. It was a legit textbook.
Holy shit.
She's wrote a geography textbook. And then she marries this guy, Louis Duprey. in 1872. So I guess she would have been, what's the math on that? She was born in 53 to 72. So she was, I guess, 18.
18. Bless the man
17?
who can. Wait, what was it again? What were the years?
50. Oh, God.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. 53 to 72. Oh, no, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19. Math. I can do it.
But I was going to say, like, what a man who can, like, marry a prodigy.
Yeah, and it seems like they had I mean, I will say, preface to all of this is that there's very little information about her out there, which is kind of bummer. And then there was some of it that was in Spanish, so I couldn't really understand it. But so it's like I have a couple of sources, but so it's all a little like speculative, but that's just sort of the case with this stuff, I guess.
That's how it goes with history.
But from what I can tell, I think it seems like the relationship was good, because what I did read about him was that he was a well-off landowner who was like very involved in politics, and he kind of got her involved in politics too. So it sounds like they had similar interests and stuff. So she has 5 kids with him, but only 3 of them survived to adulthood, which is very sad. The family moves to San Juan, which is the capital of Puerto Rico, in 1878 when she was 25. But she had people already knew about her in San Juan. Like, she had a very impressive reputation that preceded her. Because
they read her geography book.
Yeah, exactly. She was like a woman of a lot of firsts. So she was the first woman to be permitted into the Puerto Rican Athenaeum, which is like another word for library or institute for scientific study. The first woman to become a member of the public library in Puerto Rico, the first astronomer, the first newspaper woman, the first woman to be made an honorary doctor by the University of Puerto Rico eventually. So she is just generally very academically impressive. So when they moved to San Juan, she would continue this sort of community education thing where intellectuals would gather at her house to hear her lectures on astronomy or botany or music. She composed music just as a hobby. In 1880,
underground lectures.
Yeah, exactly. It reminds me very much of the oh my God, my brain is not working today.
That's okay. Describe it.
The things in France where they would have there would be a woman who had a lot of money, and she would have a bunch of artists come over. There's a word for that.
Oh.
It was there's oh God.
I don't know.
Someone's listening, yelling at the thing. Oh my God. Okay, I'll think about it.
Like a tete-a-tete. Like a gathering of intellectuals.
Will know when she comes out of the shower.
She probably will. Yeah,
it's a real thing. It's a basic word. Anyway, there's my brain. But it's like that. So in 1880, one source said that her husband died, and one source said that maybe they separated, so I don't know.
Dead to her either way.
Dead to us all. So she was left to raise the kid. She really needed money. So in 1884, she was offered a teaching position in Arecibo, and just decided to accept it. While she was there, she enrolled in the Provincial Institute, where she studied philosophy and science and earned her bachelor's degree in 1 year.
What?
Yeah, dude, she's just a crazy smart
How
lady.
do you...
I don't know. I don't even know.
While raising your kids.
Right, while raising 3 kids. So in 1899, she was appointed as the director of the Normal School of San Juan, which, as I've said, a normal school is a teaching college. And 1898, she founded La Mujer, which was the first women's magazine in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
She had already been writing a bunch of articles for all different kinds of publications. And throughout her career, she founded several different publications, including La Evolución, La Mujer del Siglo XX, which means 20th century woman.
Good job.
Album Puertorriqueño, and Heraldo de la Mujer. And she also wrote 32 novels.
Oh, she just on the side.
She just also did that, which is pretty nuts.
On a typewriter.
For some context, because I mean, this is an offensively abridged, slice of Puerto Rican history. But just for context, because I stupidly, ignorantly didn't know much about Puerto Rico's involvement with the U.S. So right when she founded this women's magazine in 1898, that was actually the year that the U.S. invaded Puerto Rico as part of the Spanish-American War, and the same year that the Treaty of Paris was signed, where Spain ceded Puerto Rico to the U.S. So this is all kind of happening as it's happening. Then in 1917, Puerto Rico received U.S. citizenship, or the citizens received citizenship rather. And 1952, they officially became a U.S. Commonwealth. And to this day, there's like constant debate about whether to remain a Commonwealth or fight for statehood or fight for total independence. Again, I don't know. That's basically all. That was a very brief outline, but just for contextual understanding of what was happening at the time. So yeah, she wrote all these books. She has a strong passion for astronomy, and she's like named an honorary member of the Paris Society of Astronomers. One source I read said that quote, she was perhaps the only woman in San Juan with a telescope on the roof of her house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was listening to something about just how important like amateur astronomers are now.
Because there's no funding for NASA.
Yeah, and people are able to get their hands on these like incredibly high-powered telescopes themselves.
That's cool.
Because
Man,
like technology is advanced so far
right,
that
it's cheap to like.
Yeah.
I mean, not cheap, but probably relatively cheap to how.
And
it used
if you live in a rural area, like,
yeah,
that must be so amazing.
So much, yeah, that's really cool. The stars are wild, maybe.
It was once we started learning like astronomy in middle school, that's when I was like, oh, science is okay.
Yeah.
And then we got into the math of it and I was like, this is awful.
I know.
I'm out. I'm back out.
I'm out. Tap out. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever really learned astronomy. We never really took that. I would have been dope. We just had biology, chemistry, and physics. Biology, I was okay. Chemistry, I actually wasn't bad. I didn't mind math. I was actually okay at math. Math was fine, especially certain parts of it. I mean, I never got too far with it. I never got to calculus. And pre-cal, I remember not liking so much. But I really liked, like, geometry. And I didn't mind chemistry so much because it was kind of, like, puzzly in that way, which I didn't hate. But physics can go suck a huge... metaphysical dick. Yeah, physics was awful.
I don't remember physics very well.
Yeah. Anyways, but she was a cool girl who liked science. Yeah, I'm no Anna either. So in 1902, she founded. That's when she founded the Teaching Academy. Sorry, this is a lot of order. Okay, so. And in the teaching academy that she founded in her house, she was just like preparing other teachers for the exams and stuff like that for the Department of Ed. She's like the founder of a bunch of stuff. She founded the Liceo Ponceño, which is a girls' high school in Ponce, and the College of Mayagüez. Maybe that's how you say that, which became the Mayagüez campus of the University of Puerto Rico. She also was like one of the co-founders of the University of Puerto Rico itself, which started in San Juan. So in 1917, she and some other professional women whose names I have here, Angela Negron Munoz and Carlota Matienzo Roman, were two other feminists and educators. They founded the Puerto Rican Feminist League, which was the first feminist organization in Puerto Rico dedicated exclusively to the issues of women's rights. In 1921, they were focusing on the right to vote and morphed into the Suffragist Social League. In 1924, there was a division within the organization, and Anna led her followers to found the Association of Women Suffragists, because basically the division was whether or not to push for universal suffrage for women, or to have women pass a literacy test in order to get the vote.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So she was anti-literacy test.
Good.
But the way that it worked out was that in 1929, that women could vote, but only if they passed the literacy test. So it went first in 1929, and then in 1935, there was universal suffrage. Very sadly, So I read this story, and again, I'm not 100% if this is true, but there's this story that so in 1929, literate women are allowed to vote. The next voting term comes around, and apparently she gets all ready to go. She like is in a wheelchair. She's like wearing gloves. She says it's like the biggest thrill of her life to go vote, and the cameras are all there, the press is all there 'cause she fought for it, and then she forgot to register. I don't know if that's true. That was from there was this like that was from a book called A Puerto Rican in New York and Other Sketches by Jesus Colon. So it was sort of like a storied, I'm not sure. But either way, she didn't live to see universal suffrage because she died in 1933, 2 years before universal. So she didn't really quite get to see her true dream outlived, but obviously she had a lot of other really cool things. In 1932, right before she died, the University of Puerto Rico awarded her an honorary doctorate and the Puerto Rican Liberal Party named her an honorary president. And her legacy is, her name is on a lot of cool things. She has a high school in, oh gosh, that's a messy hand. She has a high school somewhere in Puerto Rico that's named after her, and a street in San Juan named after her. And there's an elementary school in Chicago in a neighborhood that apparently has a large Puerto Rican population that's also named after her. And yes, I think that is all of the things I have about Ana Roqué. Yeah. So
great.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Just like a cool feminist genius from Puerto Rico. Ana Roqué de Duprey. Sorry that I'm saying your names wrong. Oh, my sources are that book I mentioned by Jesus Colon, which was interestingly was on something called Wayback Magazine, which is an internet archive. So what they do is like I found it through the Wikipedia sources link, but then I verified that that's a book. Like you can buy the book, but then so basically there was like samples of the book on a website that used to be, it was like ppw.org, which used to be like a socialist magazine's website, but now it's something else. But there's like a screenshot of everything from when it was that, which is a really cool idea to archive like screenshots of the internet, because domain names change, right? So that's kind of interesting. So it's
cool.
Wayback Magazine. So that was on there, and then LatinoRebels.com and SmithsonianMag.org.
The Smithsonian, man.
Wikipedia, which I was trying. I tried to kind of verify everything that I found on there, but I try not to use it. But for her, it was a little tough. There was not much else really. So, but I tried to like find the sources for the stuff. And
Wikipedia also, not always, but tends to do a good job of storifying like who you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's more or less like chronological.
Right. It kind of gives you an idea, but then I worry that some of if there's like fake facts in there, that they'll like confuse me. I try and find another source first, but with her, and but then if I can't with her, there was just not enough anywhere else to really give me a full idea of who she was. Yeah. I
usually will read the story from a few different places and then see like which commonality, like which one only mentioned this one, like if only one source mentioned this thing, I'm like, okay, did that really happen? And then it's like, all right, well, let's go see.
Wait, a salon? Is that what it's called? Wait, what? Julie? Can I ask you a question? What's the name of the thing in France, in like old-timey France, where they would have like a bunch of artists come to someone's, it's a salon, right? A salon. Yeah. Okay.
Is that where it comes from?
Artists to come. Yeah.
Is that where it comes from, where you get your hair? A salon? I mean, it just means room.
I don't think so, because it wasn't always female. It was men, a lot of men, mostly men probably.
That's just the name for the room.
That's just the name.
Salon in Spanish is room.
Yeah. Yeah, it just means like, and they would all just get to, like, famous artists would get together and it'd be like at the house of like a rich patron, and they would all like talk about philosophy and art.
And that's what Bourbon Street used to be in New Orleans.
Really?
During Prohibition, people had secret rooms, like secret hallways to connect their back rooms, and people would go like on the
Wow, I should have gone on more.
It's too bad you guys didn't hear that. That was really interesting.
Julie just said that.
Julie just told a really cool story about what Bourbon Street used to be.
Bourbon Street, New Orleans, used to have secret like back rooms that would connect, and you could.
And that's where they would have during Prohibition, and they'd have
them drinkies
and their intellectuals. That's how the New Yorker started.
Yeah, probably.
Dorothy Parker and all
Wait,
those
are you
guys.
not
would get
doing the
together.
person you said you were gonna do?
Yeah, I
Oh,
am.
you are. Okay, good.
Yeah. Why?
Good. Oh, I
'cause-
saw this. I saw something on top.
No,
and it was
these
different.
are just my whole thing.
Separate notes.
Yeah, separate notes. This is gonna be a little scattered because I did not type it up because I did it all on the subway
That's fine.
over a couple of trips. So bear with me. Every Monday in New Orleans, the open mic. Okay, my person is Bessie Coleman.
Okay.
I'm gonna settle in. Let me tell you a story.
Settle on in there.
How'd you come up with your woman? How'd you hear about her?
Oh, I truly just was like, well, I was gonna do that woman that our friend Kate Root suggested, but she felt a little too similar to last week's in that when I started looking her up, it was like a lot of this might be fake.
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, I don't want to do someone like that again.
Yeah, you gotta balance
So
it
I
out.
just was like, I need a regular true person. So I just started looking up. I just was like, well, what's like going on in the world? And I was like, oh, we haven't really. I mean, I guess we did. What's her name? Sylvia Rivera. I think was Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
I think she was half Puerto Rican. So, but I was like, oh, we haven't. I don't know that I've really done that many Puerto Rican people. So I just Googled like famous Puerto Rican women.
Great.
And I found a list, and I just picked her. She seemed interesting.
Great.
That's it.
She was.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Pretty simple.
Bessie Coleman was born in 1892 in Northeast Texas. Her I think it was called, what was the name of the town? Like Waxahachie or something like that. Sorry if I think she was born in Atlanta, Texas, and then moved to there. Her parents were illiterate sharecroppers. Her mom was black and her dad was black and Choctaw. And also, like, I don't think I've heard the word sharecropper so much but didn't fully realize what it meant.
Yeah, it's awful. It's really pretty much just slavery.
Yeah, except you can leave.
You can technically leave, but but like the way it worked, you were like financially pretty much tied to the, like, it was there. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like just like one step away from slavery.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
like
not
you
that
still
much
paid
better.
rent and lived on the land in your harvest. So it's like
Right.
you're still not getting paid.
Yeah.
You're just...
And oftentimes wasn't the payments were so high that it was like it was really it's sort of like economic slavery.
Yeah,
It's
they'd
really
like...
very difficult to
Well,
get
and
out
you
of.
didn't own any of the equipment, so like
Right.
you would have to
pay rent and all that.
for that. What's
Yeah.
up, Julie?
And a lot of people.
Wait, say it into the microphone.
Okay. And a lot of those sharecropping farms would also own the saloon and the general store. So where you got your food was also on this credit. And
Yeah.
they would know how much the crop would sell for. So they would change prices so that it was virtually impossible to ever have any money.
You're always in debt.
Word.
So that's what her parents did. And so did like Bessie and her siblings. They would all help work the land because the more you can, I think she was one of 10, one of 13. There are a couple of different sources of different things. But so Bessie started going to school at age 6. It was one of those like one room schoolhouses. And she was like a star student, but she would work the fields every harvest. So like whenever it was time to harvest the crops, like she would take a break from school, which, did you ever read the book Tangerine?
Mm-mm.
No, it's very good, but it takes place in Florida, and it sort of like talks about the students who have to leave school during
To do work.
to like work on the farms, which is interesting. Okay. They were obviously poor, but whenever the bookmobile came around, they would use like whatever extra, like her mom would always buy books for her and her siblings. And the bookmobile was created by George Moore, who was this wealthy Victorian philanthropist, and his whole idea was to bring books into these rural areas because it's way cheaper than like building a building and then like having a staff there. So that was like really really popular back then, and like it's seeing a resurgence now because there's so little money for libraries, and like it's still a good way to reach remote areas.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There was a woman
And sad.
Yeah. But there was a woman that I worked with at one of the schools in New Orleans who was an eccentric, nut job for most.
As so many are.
For most of the time. But she lived she was a French woman, and she lived in the lower Ninth Ward, and she would do she would have like a little bookmobile, little book cart that she would like parade around the neighborhood for the kids. Pretty nice.
It's like the fruit man.
Yeah, like
if you live in a food desert, like
Mr. Okra.
Yeah, Mr. Okra. Yeah. I used to wake up to that every weekend when I lived in Mid City. It was real nice. And then also when I lived.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Okra is a man in New Orleans who sells fruits and vegetables out of a truck, and it's very decoratively painted. And he says, "I got okra, I got oranges," and he just has a loud you don't know what he's saying.
But it's very chanting.
It is.
Like it reminds me of being in services.
Yeah, it is.
And he's like from a loudspeaker. It's like one of the sounds of New Orleans.
One of the sounds of New Orleans.
One of the many sounds. The romantic city of New Orleans. New Orleans.
Kids getting bad education. The sweet sound of
segregation.
Crumbling infrastructure.
It's a beautiful city with a lot of problems.
It's got a real, it's like everything complicated.
Yep.
But I love it more than anything else.
I love it and miss it so much.
Oh yeah.
Bessie's parents, so they did everything they could to give their kids a better life, basically. Mm-hmm. And when she was 9 years old, her dad moved to Oklahoma, mm-hmm. Then it was called Indian Territory. It wasn't called Oklahoma yet. And it was different sources said for different reasons. One said it was for a better paying job, and some said it was because of racism. But those are pretty. I think they're intrinsically tied.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you can't get a better job if there's tons of racism.
Yeah, and he does not get mentioned again. But I don't know if he was totally out of her life, or if he sent money back home. It's really hard. Nothing said.
Okay,
what it was, but.
Okay. Yeah, you got a notebook. You got a flippy.
I know. I can't find my notebook, and I trust that it's somewhere in my home, and I've just misplaced it.
That's scary.
It's a bad feeling.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Do you remember that time in New Orleans when I think it might have been during a festival, but I think I was living here already, and I was coming back, and I saw Julie or whatever. And we were in the bathroom at Cajun's, and we were both kind of crying. And Julie was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Oh, I had just found out my friend was in a coma." And I was like, "My friend was."
I was crying too.
Were you?
I feel like you were crying.
No, that's what I said.
I know. I think it was just you though.
And Julie.
Oh, and Julie was crying.
Julie was also crying.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I just found out my friend's in a coma. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was like, why are you crying? And she goes, I lost my notebook. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What a terrible feeling. And then we held each other and cried and then sang karaoke.
Yeah. Good times. Gators with a K.
So Bessie saves up just enough money for one semester of college. She went to the Oklahoma Colored Agricultural and Normal University, which is now known as Langston University. She then... this is why I don't know if her dad was fully out of her life, because she ends up going to Oklahoma. And I kind of wonder if they had contact then. But so she comes back home. She works as a seamstress with her mom for a white family. But she is, quote, determined to amount to something. Which is she's a very determined woman. There are a lot of points in here where I was like, I would have quit.
Yeah.
And she does not. And it's amazing.
That's awesome.
So in 1916, she moves to Chicago to live with two of her brothers. And this is really kicking off the Great Migration. There were there were waves of migration. The first one was right around World War I, when 1 million people, mostly Black, migrated from the South to the North. And it was the greatest voluntary migration in human history. So wow. For something to not be due to famine or a disaster,
just a freedom of slavery,
just better opportunities. Well, because they weren't slaves at this point, but they were living under Jim Crow. Reconstruction didn't happen or
it's
stopped
post-slavery. Of course they're gonna get out of
and
it.
at the time, 90% I think this, what was it? Maybe until like 1920, 90% of the Black population lived in the South.
Oh, wow.
And then like obviously redistributed. So yeah, it was because like all these jobs opened up when like men went off to war and to escape Jim Crow. So she moved to Chicago. She's living with her two brothers. Her brothers go off to World War I. And then they come back and they're like, France was the shit. France was so cool. Nobody cared that we were Black. It was great. And this became like a sort of the like catalyst for the civil rights movement, because like I never think of it as starting that early, but obviously it did.
World War II?
World War One.
World War One. Wow.
When they came back from World War One, because they had been in Europe and were like, oh, we don't we don't have to be treated like garbage.
Yeah.
And her brother comes back and is sort of like, he's like teasing Bessie and is like just about how the French women had more rights. Like, haha, it's a good one.
Hot riff.
And he talks about how the women there were allowed to be pilots. And she's like, she takes that as a challenge. And she's like, well, I'm going to become a pilot then.
Whoa.
Because he's just like, you look like back in America, like women can't do it. And she's just like, I'll show you. Also in France, they were like very infatuated with Black culture because they had just been exposed to jazz and they were real into jazz. They were like the original hipsters.
Wow. Jazz. I don't know how I feel about jazz.
I love jazz.
All right. Well, glad we covered that.
Really, what's your hesitation about it, Molly?
I don't know. I'm mostly just trying to stall while you.
I got it.
Okay,
that's okay. We can.
I'm not editing this, so
okay.
I was.
You know what though? Like in those moments, just take a moment, look at your surroundings.
Yeah,
just take your, just open your eyes and really take in
the old radio
sounds.
saying, "Dead air is just a time to take in your surroundings."
Yeah. Hey, look, we can't always be entertained 100% of the time.
Yes, we can.
At this time, no flying schools would accept a Black woman. So she decided to go to France. So she gets another job to save money. And at night, she teaches herself French.
Damn.
She gets financial and moral support from the Black community in Chicago. The Defender, which was a Black newspaper, the founder of it, named Robert Abbott, was like very supportive. He had like a bunch of articles written about her. And then there was a Black banker named Jesse Binga who also gave her a lot of financial support. Which also, like, imagine how, like, charming and determined she must have been to, like, go up to these men and be like, I want to go to France and be a pilot. Can you help me? And they're like, well, do you speak French? And she's like, I'm learning. And they're like, well, can you fly already? She's like, no, but I want to. And they're like, okay.
That's awesome.
Fucking do it.
That's so cool.
So...
She's badass.
In 1920, she goes to France. She does the 7-month course. And... Oh, I meant to look up. I think this was 2 years before Amelia Earhart started flying. Wow. In 1921, she gets her international pilot's license, and she becomes the first Black person, male or female, in the world to get this license.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And she also had to lie about her age and claim to be 4 years younger to do this. I don't know why, but she did.
Probably just because she's a woman and it comes natural to us.
Yeah. So she comes back to New York City. She's met by reporters and she's celebrated and she's taken care of by the Black community. They like wine and dine her and take her to plays and stuff. But since commercial flying like wasn't a thing yet, I wrote, I meant to look up the year of like when commercial flights started happening. And I left like a blank space to fill in, and then I never filled it in. So, but at some point,
for you listeners,
I think after World War II is when commercial
sounds right.
planes started happening. But at this point, it's still just like
you can era.
Yeah, but at this point, it's still just like the 1 or 2 seaters.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those little ones, like
yeah,
like
and just like a pane of glass is keeping you from
death.
Hang on.
There's a big old emergency in the neighborhood. Sirens coming. All right.
So since commercial airline wasn't a thing yet, the way that pilots made a living back then was called barnstorming, which was like tricks. Basically. It was like acrobatics while flying a plane. So they would stand on the wings. They would hang off ladders, like all while flying. There was one thing of footage that I saw where this one. Do you have a picture of it?
1914. Wait, that was the first
for commercial
scheduled commercial flight. But maybe they probably didn't get like popular for much later till much later.
Yeah, I wonder how expensive it was.
Yeah.
To buy a ticket. Okay, well, just another example of me talking out of my ass, but I said it confidently.
You
so
did. I believed you.
But
well,
okay,
they were. It's less popular than it was now.
You couldn't really make a living like as a commercial pilot. And like I saw footage of this one plane like going through the arch of a bridge, and like there were two people standing on the wing while it's flying through, and it's like very narrow and terrifying to watch. So this is what she's set out to do, and she realizes that if she's going to do that, like, she has to be the best. So she goes back to Europe for more lessons because flying schools in the United States still wouldn't accept her, even though she has her license already and is like she's good at this. So she spends 2 months in France for lessons, then goes to Holland and then Germany, and stays in Germany for 10 weeks, just like taking lessons and like learning from these European pilots who were all happy to take her under their wing.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Wow. This is why they pay you the no bucks.
So this time when she comes back to New York, she wants to do these air shows and draw a crowd. So she like gets a little shit for this, but basically she's just shameless in her self-promotion and makes up this story about how she like learned to fly during World War I while working for the Red Cross, and she like met with all this German nobility because for some reason being the first black woman to have being the first black person to have an international pilot's license wasn't enough to draw a crowd.
Yeah.
Because like how jaded were we?
Yeah.
That whatever. But she's just like, whatever. If I have to tell a fucking story to get you to come, then I'll tell a fucking story.
Good.
So
embellishment never hurt anyone.
It absolutely never did. So this worked. More than 1,000 people come out to see her show, especially from the black community. The owner of the Chicago airport was also super supportive of her, and he lent her a plane. And so like in 1923, in 1923, she's flying from Santa Monica to LA, and her engine stalls while she's in the air. She ends up falling 300 feet. She was knocked unconscious, breaks her leg and 3 ribs.
Oh my God.
She was laid up for 3 months, and it was another 2 years before she started flying. But like, okay, there's one, like, first I probably would have quit when they were like, you have to go to France or like learn French and get a second job. Like, no, thank you. So, and then like she falls 300 feet and like has to take all this time to recover. I also would not have gone back.
Still gets back. That's crazy.
She said, quote, "I knew we had no aviators, neither men nor women, and I knew the race needed to be represented along this most important line. So I thought it my duty to risk my life to learn aviation." Which, like, yeah, cool. She earns the nickname Queen Bess, which is fun. It's like the first Queen Bee. Even though crowds in the South so she would do all these air shows, and the audiences would be segregated, but I think she was like, I can't do anything about that because it's the law, but she did insist that everybody come through the same gate. And if not, like, she refused to fly if they didn't do that. Cool. And then she was asked to be in movies, but when she like read the part for whatever movie, she refused to take part in it because it like they had her like wearing tattered clothes to portray her poverty, and she was just like, we were always taken care of. Like that's not how we looked. Like, yeah, we were poor, but we fucking had clothing, and like my mom said, like, we were seamstresses. Like, And she also, like, if it made Black people look bad in any way, she was just like, no, thank you. Doris Rich wrote that, quote, opportunistic though she was about her career, she was never an opportunist about race. She had no intention of perpetuating the derogatory image most whites had of most Blacks. And then Bessie started giving lectures about flying and like going around traveling, earning a steady income from that until she had enough money saved up to buy her own plane. And then she also wanted to open up her own aviation school for Black men and women, but would not get the chance. And here's the sad part of the story. So in April 1926, Bessie was planning to do a parachute jump out of a plane in Jacksonville. Yeah, in Jacksonville. So I guess it was like a day or two before, April 30th, a day or two before the jump, she and her mechanic are flying over the area where she's going to jump because she's like making sure the landing area looks good. And he's flying the plane. His name is William Wills. And this, I don't know if it's true or just bullshit because it makes the story seem better, but like apparently her friends and family didn't think the plane was safe. Like they didn't think it was well maintained enough. And 3 times that day they had to make emergency landings. But so I don't know if like they actually thought, like only one source said that. But what definitely happened was that whoever was doing maintenance before they took off probably accidentally, like it seems like no foul play, but left a wrench that was jammed in the steering gears. And so they're thousands of feet up in the air. Bessie has her seatbelt off because she's trying to get a better look at the like where she's going to land. And all of a sudden the plane starts accelerating and like going really fast and then like doing tail spins and diving, and Bessie falls out.
Oh God. And
died on impact. And Will also died because he couldn't gain control back well enough and crashed into a tree. So it was very, very sad. She the Defender wrote up a huge thing for her. Which is interesting because also like the white newspaper like didn't mention her. It just mentions her mechanic, William Wills, which is like, how dare you?
That's crazy.
How dare you? Yeah. She was this like ability to intentionally erase history from others is so infuriating. Yeah. Because it's like, she is somebody who like the whole basis of this podcast is like women who didn't make it into our history books. And some of them I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, it would have been cool to learn about her, but I kind of get why this wasn't pertinent. Yeah. Bessie fucking should have been in there. Yeah. Like she was so important and like such an inspirational figure that just like everybody should have learned about her. Yeah. And I'm mad that I hadn't heard of her until 4 days ago when John Oliver fucking mentioned her on his show. And thanks to whoever wrote that in. Yeah. Cause like okay, sorry, now I'm angry. Okay. I'm actually sad, but it's manifesting as anger.
I'm glad one of us has energy of any kind. I'm a good listener today. Ooh, that woke me up.
Okay. So she was 34 years old when she died. There was a memorial in Orlando for her that drew 5,000 people. Wow. And then her body was taken to Chicago. And like along the way, people were like paying their respects to the train. And when they got to Chicago, a memorial was held and 10,000 people showed up to pay their respects. Like she was not somebody who like died in obscurity. She was just like always important. Yeah, like, always an important figure.
We never learned about her.
Historians credit her. In 1929, William J. Powell, who was a Black engineer and soldier, established the Bessie Coleman Aero Club in Los Angeles, because it's like he's like honoring her dream to open up a school, and it was just like,
that's nice,
very nice. I think now it's a museum. Hold on, excuse me. Historians, sorry, I dedicate that to all the women who refused to play by the rules.
Cool.
Historians credit her, thank you, Julie. Historians credit her with paving the way for other Black aviators, including the Tuskegee Airmen.
Oh, wow.
And sort of like a big part of the reason why it seems like why like aeronautics became, like when we talked about like World War II and stuff, there were a lot of Black pilots. And a big part of it seems to be that she like inspired the whole community to be like, you're worthy. Like you're just
are you
as
saying
good.
Representation matters?
Maybe just a little bit.
Wait a minute. Hold
It
on.
might matter a little bit.
Hold on a sec.
I found a really sweet news segment when I was looking up. Oh, let me say my sources real quick. And while I'm looking at, I'll tell you the source. So
One day I just want one of us to be like, my source was my brain.
I just already knew it.
I don't know anything.
Well, in our Lost episode, Guy Branum just like told that
I
story off the
know.
top of his
That's
head.
truly
and
tragic.
you'll never get to hear it. It was
We
only
had
for me and
technical
Molly.
difficulties. Yeah.
Look,
Guy
women in
Branum's-
technology, we've just
I know.
never mixed. Okay,
Once
so
a man was better than us, and we lost it.
but we, like you and I, weren't yet what we are now.
No,
you know,
no,
like we
no,
weren't
it's
the
the early
professional
stages.
podcasters that we are now not
It's
paid to
true.
be.
Right.
So my sources were, I did a lot of YouTube for this one.
Cool.
But Keith Hughes History, which is a fun YouTube channel. It's this guy who like, he's very passionate about history. He does seem a little bit of like, hey, all you kids, I'm here to rap to you about history.
Oh no, does he rap?
He does not actually rap, but there's like a lot of like terminology that's like, I get it.
He's like, Bessie was woke. Am I right?
There was like, he didn't actually do it on
Ooh,
Bessie.
That crash was lit.
That's what we call on fire. Because the plane exploded into flames.
I'm sorry, that's so disrespectful.
He, well, I watched his thing on the Great Migration, but there was like one segment that it was like, I can't remember. It was either like, what it be? Or like, what it do?
Oh no.
What it don't.
That's not, don't do that.
But he was very passionate, and
That's good.
I liked him overall. Also, the AV writer, the Smithsonian, the Atlanta Historical Museum, which I'm pretty sure is Atlanta, Texas, not Atlanta, Georgia. Those were my sources. Oh, but there was this really sweet interview, like a news segment about this this family who were, for Black History Month, each day were dressed, or maybe just each week were, well, that's only 4. No, I must have been, however, they were dressing up their 5-year-old daughter as different Black heroines through
Oh,
history. And one of
cool.
them was Bessie Coleman.
That's awesome.
And she, like, because there's this very famous photo of Bessie because it's from her license, and this little girl was dressed as her, and it was really cute
Oh,
and
that's
sweet.
cute.
And it's,
I know.
but
Little
so
girls
yeah,
dressing as historical figures is.
it's really
That's my
sweet.
like puppy video, cat video.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about those. Like just show me videos of little girls dressing up like Frida Kahlo. Like that's all I fucking want.
When
to
I
see.
worked at Taste Buds, there was this, one year for Halloween, this girl had a Halloween party, and they were the coolest kids. They had known each other forever, and one girl came dressed as Frida Kahlo, and she was the smallest of them all, and they had this very intense unibrow, and it was so cute.
Oh my god, so cute.
It was great. But so yeah,
I know.
but that was my idea.
If I ever do have a kid, oh my god, those first 2 years before they get a say in what they are, I'm just gonna dress them. Even if it's a boy, I'm just gonna dress him as like fucking Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Both years.
Yeah. Oh, baby pantsuit.
Yes. Worth
But
the
yeah,
money.
they were just like, we think it's important to show her like an act, like a positive portrayal of Black women, because we don't get that in the media very often.
Cool.
And it was very wonderful and lovely. And that is Bessie Coleman. Oh, her birth name was Elizabeth,
Oh.
but Bessie is short for
Bessie
Elizabeth.
is cooler.
Yeah.
Well, that was a success, I would say. Given how hungover I am.
Yeah. You didn't throw up?
No, I don't. I
You
wish I
didn't-
did. Sometimes I just wish I wish I had that talent.
Yeah.
Where you could just, because I feel like it would make me feel better. I did take some a leave earlier. I've been drinking a lot of water, coconut water.
Good.
I don't know. I have to go do a show. I'm kind of tired. It's going to be fine.
Do you have time for a nap?
I don't know.
Did I kind of ruin that?
No,
showing
it's
up
okay.
late?
It's fine.
Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
Do you have a Wonder Woman?
No.
Okay. I'll just do them.
Okay, yeah.
Can we just establish it?
That sounds great.
I'll just do them.
Okay.
This has been a week for women of sorts.
Yeah. Great week.
Oh boy. From Jamel Hill to Rose McGowan. Just a week.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's a very wonderful thing that's happening. It's also a very painful thing to see happening, is that a lot of women on my timeline, at least on Facebook, are sharing their stories of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to read, and sometimes I can't. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important to see how, I don't know anybody who hasn't been through some form of sexual assault.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of times
harassment,
or at the very least harassment and threats of sexual assault.
Yeah.
The internet for women is just like not a nice place. Mm-mm. And Allison Levy she had written it previously and reshared it. And I hadn't seen it when it first came out, and I forget what it's called, but she wrote this really wonderful essay about her experience with a tweet that generated so much harassment and how she dealt with it and how she thought about it and what it meant for her as a joke writer and as a female comedian to be on the internet, where that's not really a choice. Like, we do have to be on Twitter. We do have to have a social media presence. And unless you're Janine Garofalo, like, you have to do those things. And she just, it was so well put and also very funny, of like what that experience was like. And it was sort of it was her response to the boycott of like why she wasn't boycotting, which I'm all in favor. I decided to. I also completely understand why you would decide not to. And it was just, the ending, I like the synopsis of it at the end was so good, where she was just like, you should go read it for sure. It's Allison Leiby, Leiby, she was like, I feel like I should at the end of this be saying like, women shouldn't be silenced. Like, here are all the things we can do. Like, we should be in this together, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, but actually, I just want to say, like, men, stop it. And it's like, yeah, that is what the end of every single one of those should be. Like, she is so right. And it's like, yeah, we always put this emphasis on, like, rape culture, and men need to learn what no means, and they need to hear yes, and we need to teach our men to stop raping women. But we don't apply that logic, or at least I don't usually apply that logic to what it's like to be on the internet. It's like, well, what are all the things that I can do to avoid this? How can I like encourage my fellow women to like just hang in there, baby, and like I support you or whatever. And I had never thought about it as like, no, men just have to stop doing this. And how that happens, I don't know, but like that should be the message. And she just articulated it really well.
Like threatens you with rape, they should have their Twitter account suspended. I would say.
What an idea! What a notion!
Thrilling thought,
But that's not the world we live in.
Jack? No.
Nope.
I am a measly at Molly Ruben-Long.
And at Ariel Elias.
Woo.
And follow the podcast at Well Behaved Pod.
Yes.
Tell a friend if you enjoyed this.
And perhaps write a little review for us. It's very easy. You just go into the iTunes, you find search Well Behaved, you find us, you click write a review, you click 5 stars, you write, wow, this was really good, and then you hit send.
You say, hey, I enjoyed this.
And then we feel loved. Please do it. And more people will listen to it then. So, do that if you haven't done that.
We'll post stuff on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Well Behaved Podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Do you have any dates that you want to promote?
Oh, actually, maybe I do. I'm going to LA next week. So I actually don't know what I have this week going on. Anybody going on? Oh, I'm on Rent Party on Wednesday, the 18th at Union Hall at 8
That's
p.m. That'll be good. And then I'm in Los Angeles next weekend, not doing any shows, just seeing my boyfriend.
Aw,
Gross.
nice.
Nice. I'm on a show tonight, but it's too late.
It's too late. It was yesterday. You missed
2
it.
days ago.
2 days ago. You should have gone.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, so tomorrow I'll be at Two Boots in Williamsburg at 8:30. On Thursday, I'll be at the Fulton Grand in Brooklyn at 9 o'clock. On Saturday, the 21st, we have all female reboot at 3 o'clock at the Pit. Molly won't be there, which is a damn shame, but so if you can't make it to this, that's okay. You can make it to a different one and you can actually see Molly.
Yeah.
And then also that night at 8 o'clock, I'm hosting a show at the Creek in the Cave. So come to that. I think it's $5, which is like nothing. That's like, you have $5.
Yeah, you do.
And my mom's going to be in town next weekend. So if you come to any of those shows, you might meet my mom.
Wow. What's she doing here?
She has her her high school reunion.
Did she go to high school here?
She went to high school in New Jersey, so she's just gonna stay for 2 weeks and come up for a few days and see some old friends.
She's staying at your house?
No. No.
That's a lot.
She's staying with my aunt, who lives on the Upper West Side.
Oh, right. That's nice.
No, I mean, I have like a very old yellowed futon.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Yeah. I mean, Julie stayed there for like 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
She's I mean, it felt like
I'm just kidding.
she's there for like 10 days.
Yeah.
But Julie, you're like agile. You're young.
You're young and
You're on the floor
literally
now.
on the floor right now because
you
there's
have no standards.
Well, this was wonderful. Thanks for
nice.
coming to my neck of the woods.
Anytime.
Well,
Unless it's a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Let's
Keep making history.
Bye, guys.
Open enrollment November 1st.